Icons remains a subject of fascination because it represents a meeting between two worlds. Sinatra's generation admired craftsmanship, tradition, and timeless style. Elvis's generation brought rebellion, excitement, and a new sound that changed everything.
Despite those differences, both men shared the same desire: to connect with people through music. Many fans look back at the careers of Sinatra and Elvis and wonder what conversations they might have had away from the cameras. What advice would one legend give another? What thoughts would they share about success, pressure, and the cost of becoming an icon? Those questions continue to keep their stories alive. Sinatra passed away in 1998, leaving behind a legacy that continues to influence singers and entertainers around the world. Elvis Presley's impact also remains enormous decades after his death, with new generations discovering his music and his story. Their names are remembered not only because they were famous, but because they represented something emotional. They showed audiences that even the biggest stars were still people searching for meaning, respect, and connection. The imagined moment of Sinatra receiving a heartfelt message from Elvis represents something fans have always wanted to believe: that behind the competition and fame, there was genuine admiration between legends. It reminds people that history is not only made on stages and in front of cameras. Sometimes the most meaningful moments happen quietly, through words shared between people who understand each other's journey. Frank Sinatra and Elvis Presley will forever remain two of the most important names in music history. Their voices changed generations, but their humanity is what continues to make their stories unforgettable.
As the years passed, the stories surrounding Frank Sinatra and Elvis Presley only became more fascinating to fans around the world. Both men had reached a level of fame that few entertainers could ever imagine, but with that fame came a unique kind of pressure. Every performance, every interview, and every public appearance became part of their legacy.
For Sinatra, maintaining his image was something he took seriously. He was known for his confidence, his sharp style, and his ability to control a room with just his presence. But those close to him often described another side of the singer, someone who cared deeply about his craft and the people around him. The public often saw the legend, but behind the legend was a man who experienced emotions just like anyone else. Success did not remove the challenges that came with being constantly watched and judged. Elvis Presley understood that feeling too. His rise to fame changed the music industry forever. He became a symbol of a new generation, but the expectations placed on him were enormous. Fans wanted more, the media followed his every move, and the world watched as he carried the weight of being called the King of Rock. In many ways, Sinatra and Elvis were connected by the same experience. They both became larger than life. Their careers showed different paths to greatness. Sinatra came from the world of jazz, swing, and classic American entertainment. Elvis brought a new sound and a new energy that transformed popular music. They represented different moments in history, yet both left an impact that continues today. That is why fans remain interested in the relationship between them. It was not just about two famous singers meeting. It was about two icons recognizing the dedication and sacrifice required to reach the top. Behind every famous performance are countless moments of doubt, preparation, and personal struggle. Audiences see the applause, but they rarely see what happens when the cameras stop rolling. For someone like Sinatra, who spent decades performing for millions of people, moments of personal connection mattered. A meaningful conversation or a simple gesture from another artist could have a powerful effect. The idea of Elvis sharing a personal message with Sinatra has become part of the fascination surrounding their stories. Fans imagine a moment where one legend reached out to another, not as a competitor, but as someone who understood the journey. Because sometimes the people who understand us the most are those who have walked a similar path. Both Sinatra and Elvis knew what it meant to have their lives become public property. They knew what it felt like when strangers believed they knew everything about them. They experienced the excitement of fame, but also the challenges that came with it. History often creates a picture of perfection. Stars are expected to always appear confident, successful, and happy. But behind the spotlight, many performers face moments of uncertainty. Sinatra's story was filled with reinvention. He experienced career changes, criticism, and periods where people questioned whether he could continue, but he always found a way to return strong. His ability to adapt became one of his greatest strengths. He proved that a true artist is not defined by one moment, one song, or one. Elvis also changed throughout his career. From his early days as a young performer to his later years as a global superstar, his journey reflected the changing world around him. Both men became symbols of their generation. Their influence reached far beyond music. They shaped fashion, performance styles, and the way entertainers connected with audiences. When people talk about legends, they often talk about achievements, records sold, awards won, and concerts performed. But the reason these figures remain memorable is because people connect with their story. They were not just voices, they were personalities, emotions, and experiences. The fascination with Sinatra and Elvis continues because their lives show the complicated reality of fame. Greatness can bring admiration and success, but it can also bring isolation and pressure. The strongest performers are often those who understand that vulnerability is part of being human. Sinatra's emotional moments throughout his career showed that even someone known for strength could have moments of reflection. Elvis's life showed that even the most celebrated people could face difficult challenges. Together, their stories remind fans that behind every famous name is a person with hopes, fears, and memories. Decades later, their music continues to inspire new generations. Young listeners discover Sinatra's timeless voice and Elvis's unforgettable performances. Their influence remains alive because their art continues to create emotion. The stories surrounding them will continue to be discussed because people are always interested in the moments that reveal the person behind the icon. Whether it was a performance, a conversation, or a simple message between two legendary artists, the connection between Sinatra and Elvis represents something powerful: respect between two people who understood the cost of becoming unforgettable. Their legacies prove that true stars are remembered not only for what they achieved, but for the emotions they left behind. Frank Sinatra and Elvis Presley were more than entertainers. They were cultural figures who changed music forever, and their stories continue to capture the imagination of fans across the world. The spotlight may have faded from their stages, but the impact of their voices, their journeys, and their unforgettable moments remains stronger than ever.
Even after decades, the imagined connection between Frank Sinatra and Elvis Presley continues to fuel stories, documentaries, and fan discussions. Part of the reason is simple. Both men represent the peak of musical fame in two completely different eras, yet their legacies feel strangely connected.
Sinatra's world was built on orchestras, stage lights, and carefully controlled performances. Every appearance mattered, and every song was delivered with precision. He was part of an era where entertainment was elegant, structured, and deeply tied to tradition. Elvis, on the other hand, represented a cultural shift. His arrival changed how people viewed music, performance, and youth culture itself. He was energetic, unpredictable, and revolutionary. Whereas Sinatra was smooth and composed, Elvis was explosive and Because of these differences, fans often imagine what would happen if the two icons truly interacted in a personal way, not just as celebrities in the same industry, but as artists who understood the pressure of global fame. The idea of a hidden message between them has become symbolic rather than literal. It represents admiration, respect, and the emotional understanding that exists between performers who have lived under constant public attention. In reality, both Sinatra and Elvis were aware of each other's influence. Sinatra publicly acknowledged talent when he saw it, even if styles differed from his own. Elvis, meanwhile, grew up listening to many of the traditional vocalists who came before him, including Sinatra's generation of performers. What makes their imagined connection so powerful is not just fame, it is the emotional weight behind fame. Being a global icon sounds glamorous from the outside, but inside that world, everything becomes magnified. A small mistake becomes a headline. A personal struggle becomes public discussion. Even silence can be interpreted in many ways. Sinatra experienced this throughout his career. There were moments when critics doubted him, when trends changed, and when new music styles threatened to overshadow the traditional sound he represented. Yet he continued to evolve, proving his resilience time and again. Elvis faced a different kind of pressure. He was not just an entertainer, he became a cultural symbol. People projected expectations onto him that went far beyond music. That kind of attention can be overwhelming, even for someone with extraordinary talent. This shared experience is why fans connect them in storytelling. It is less about a specific event and more about the idea that two legends from different worlds might understand each other on a deeper level. Stories about emotional moments, such as an exit from a television show or a private message exchanged after a performance, continue to circulate because they reflect something people want to believe, that even the biggest stars still experience human connection in meaningful ways. Whether or not such specific moments actually occurred in the dramatic form fans describe,